I'll second that.
Thank y'all. All right. Lonzo?
Yes, ma'am. The certification of closed session pursuant to subsection 2.2-3712D Code of Virginia 1950 as amended, each member of the Board of Supervisors, upon roll call, certifies that to best of their knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters that were identified in the motions by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the Board of Supervisors. Any member of the Board of Supervisors who believes that there was a departure from these requirements shall state so prior to the vote, indicating the substance of that departure in his or her judgment that has taken place, or any supervisors who believe a departure has taken place. Seeing none, if you agree that the matters heard, discussed, or considered during the closed meeting were pursuant only to the motions by which the closed meeting was convened, please signify by saying yea or yes. Tim Lovelace.
Yes.
Lou Ann Wallace.
Yes.
Carl Ray.
Yes.
Steve Breeding.
Yes.
David Eaton.
Yes.
Horace Christian.
Yes.
Rebecca Dye. Ma'am, you have approval to return to regular session.
All right, at this time, will we please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the pledge? Thank you, dear Lord, for giving us another day. Thank you, dear Lord, for the many things that you have bestowed upon us. Loving and gracious God, as we continue to walk through these days, please lead, guide, and direct us in this uncertainty, in this anger, this grief, the violence, and the bleakness that we're hearing. But help us to know that you will lead us in all of our pleas and our deepest cries. We listen and seek for your abiding and loving presence. In all things, we give our praise to Jesus. Thank you. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first thing we have on our agenda is the approval of the agenda as it is. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I make a motion, we accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second. I'll second.
Steve? All right. All those in favor, roll call. Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Rebecca? Yes. All right. Our new business is the approval of our minutes. First is the July 6th, which was our regular board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes as written?
I make a motion to approve those minutes as written.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Tim? All right. All those in favor, roll call. Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. All right. Our second is the minutes of our July 8th. It was a meeting that Oris and Steve and I attended. We went to see a prospective business. So do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Steve, second.
I'll second.
All right, Oris. All right, there'll be three of us. All right, all those in favor are abstaining. Oris,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Lou,
Abstention, please.
okay, Tim,
Abstention.
David,
Abstention.
Steve,
Yes.
and Rebecca, yes.
I think I need to abstain on that.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, thank you, that's fine. Next, we have approval of all of our expenditures, our payments for the,
Turn off the volume.
can you hear?
Good.
What? No, but the three of us, but he abstained.
Nobody else was there.
Nobody was there. It was just the three of us that went to see the prospective business.
That was a regional meeting.
Uh-huh. Right.
Is it proper, since it's a reconvened
Meeting.
can anybody give me another?
I know a lot of people are staying, but I mean, if they feel like, if board members feel like they've been fully informed on what has occurred, I've seen boards do that before, can't pass the vote without a quorum.
Well, I'll rescind mine. I'll vote yes. I feel confident that we've been updated on the potential prospect. Yes. I'll rescind.
That's okay. Okay. All right. All right. Our second thing is the approval of our expenditures. Do we have a motion to pay our bills, our expenditures?
I'll make that motion.
I'll make a motion for the purpose of discussion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Tim, okay. Discussion?
I have a question. Based on, I guess this goes back to the grant, one of the grants that we received for the fairgrounds. The amount, can you give me the total amount that's been spent on that project?
Are you referring to the tobacco grant?
Yes.
Right now, currently, the Russell County has a reimbursement in for the fairgrounds work that we've done through the Fairgrounds Committee and the contractor for $57,000.
Okay, the amount, what was the total amount of the whole grant?
The total amount of the whole grant was $215,000.
So basically, all we've spent approximately $100,000?
About approximately $100,000. This is, the fairgrounds project is actually a two-phase project. The first phase was to get a new roof on, upgrade the doors, the flooring, the HVAC, the electrical, get it insulated, which it is already. We was actually down the fairgrounds on Monday morning, and if COVID hadn't came in, we could have already started having events. So this is the first phase. It actually come in cheaper with assistance from the community workers and the county staff on working this to get the fairgrounds back up under roof, and then we'll be doing another addition in phase 2.
So basically, is this listed in accounts where we actually can look at this?
Is it separated out in the project account? Yes, it is.
So basically, we have we have over $100,000 left to be able to spend on that project that we went to Richmond and fought hard to get.
Like the previous Tobacco Commission grants, it's a dollar-for-dollar match.
Right.
So what we match, the fairground matches, the Tobacco Commission will match. Yes. We got kind of held up on the delay through the Tobacco Commission because when COVID hit, they went back on all the projects, not just theirs, but all through statewide, to be able to look at to see what availability of the money. After discussions with the Tobacco Commission and the contractors in the fairgrounds, we felt very good about proceeding. They did too, proceeding with the fairgrounds grant and the cannery grants.
So we've not lost these grants as far as the total amount of
No, sir.
compensation back for the canneries and
Neither
the
one.
fairground monies?
That is
Okay.
correct. We have not lost either.
Is there any outstanding amounts of bills or anything like that that's not listed in there in our records?
For right now, we have the ones that for various things that we've continued since the reimbursement that has been put in. So staff work that the contractor has proceeded on, and a little additional work that my staff has done on, and materials that we've used, it's coming through.
All right.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Lonzo.
How long does it normally take to get a drawdown done? I mean, turned in, and what's the turnaround time on it?
The turnaround time usually is within 90 days. If you if you ask me now if what the turnaround time, yes.
Is that due to COVID? Is that
Yes,
what you're saying?
yes. And
So we're hearing the contractors weren't paid, haven't been paid.
the contractors
Have they been paid
the
anything?
contractors have been paid. We paid the contractors, and for all materials, we're waiting on our reimbursement.
Okay, so the contractors have
Yes.
been paid.
Contractors have been paid, the materials has been paid, Lebanon Block's been paid for all the materials, everything's been paid. We're waiting on reimbursement to Russell County Board of Supervisors, what cost is incurred up to date.
That's all I have.
Anything?
Yeah, well, since we're in discussion, it's my understanding that it's only allowable when a drawdown takes place. So we have the expense, the county takes care of it, and it causes a drawdown from the state level. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So there's no dollars sitting here being misappropriated?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all those that we'll have a roll call vote on approving the expenditures. All right, Oris,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and Rebecca, yes. The next item on our board, on the agenda for the board is our appointments, and the first one is for the Russell County IDA. Well, oh, okay. Yep. Discussion will come later, okay? All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Lou, all right, any discussion? Oh, no. Well, I asked her that, and she said we've done it both ways.
I know we've done it both ways, and our paper on the tools today, it doesn't specify it out. Common sense, I don't think we can say that for accommodation. Because people would be extra careful to get upset, because they're not living in accommodation, you know, so to say, so that's.
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Nate Kaiser.
And I'll second that.
Any discussion now? We can discuss it now. Any more nominations? Any more nominations? All right, okay. Okay, she said you could discuss it.
I've known Boo Stanford for over 30 years, and he has represented the Russell County Fire Association, devoting his time, money, and all for over 30 years, and that is one of the greatest event in Russell County. Also, Boo is the owner of Stanford Record Service, used auto sales, and he has helped numerous of churches, organizations, and individuals with his time and finances. I feel that he will do a great job on the board and will speak up and represent the citizens of Russell County being on this IDA board.
Well, I'd just
Okay.
like to say, I think Nate Kaiser, I found him to be a very, very intelligent young man. And right now, I'm looking for a little youth on the IDA. So, and I'll support Nate Kaiser.
All right, all those for Mr. Kaiser, and do we need to do a roll call with this show of hands? Okay, roll call, do everyone, yay and nay? Okay, Okay, those for Nate Kaiser, Oris,
Nay.
Carl. Can you,
Say that again, Carl. You don't-
Carl,
No.
Lou,
No.
Tim,
No.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Rebecca, no. All right. Mr. Boo Stamper, Oris,
Yes.
Lou. Oh, excuse me, I left out Carl. Carl,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
David,
No.
Steve.
We're using my vote.
Okay, all right, Rebecca, yes. All right. Our next board member will be Mr. Stamper. All right. Next, we have our Community Policy Management Team. We have 2 positions for 3 years. The first one is Patrick Brunty, and he is the current DSS Director, and he is part of that board.
Madam Chair, can I ask
Yeah.
a question on this before we vote? Or
Yes.
is it required that the head of the DSS be on this community board? Is that a requirement? Lonzo,
I'm sorry.
is it required that Patrick Brunty as head of DSS be on that board? Is that,
It is a good oversight as far as the management team because of the different programs. He needs to be in on each one of those levels between the
Yeah.
adult and the
well,
children.
how about Joni Lester? I noticed she's from Cedar Bluff. What is her position?
That Joe.
She,
Go ahead.
I'll speak, she is from the Cumberland Plateau Mental Health, the
Mental
health.
And it's
She
required that
works
she
up
be on
there.
there as well. Okay,
She
so that
works
both
up
of these
there.
are required positions, okay.
Good
That's all I was
Mhm.
asking.
Has there been any other applications turned in on these 2 positions?
No, sir.
No, no, they have to be on there. Generally, the folks that serve on that are from all the different agencies like drug court, foster care, the school system, anyone that's involved with the management of services for our school children that might need anything. Yes, and a parent rep and a public parent rep. Mm. All right. So, Katie, with that being said, can we just do both of these at once? How would you recommend?
I'll make a motion to nominate both.
All right, thank you, David.
I'll second that.
Steve, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all right, all those by acclamation, there are only 2. All those in favor? Oris,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and Rebecca, yes. All right, the next one is with the Southwest Virginia Community Correctional Criminal Justice Board, and I do believe there was a letter written for his recommendation, was there not, Lonzo?
Yeah, I saw it in the board.
I'll make a,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to nominate Doug Howard.
I'll
All right.
second that.
Okay, David, Steve. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor for Mr. Howard with his letter of recommendation? He served on this board before, it's for 2 years. Oris,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
thank you, Lou,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and Rebecca, yes. All right, next thing, we have our citizens' comment period. Okay. First, we have Larry, is that a S? 122 Church Road, I'm assuming it's, all right. Bizarre, okay, I'm sorry, sir. Lebanon, okay. Lou, Oris, you want to give him, excuse me, Lonzo, give him your microphone. Okay. You get, they might want so they can hear it outside and record it.
I have a grandson. He'll be in the 3rd grade.
and up through where we live, Hansonville, Churchill Road, all the way out through to Lebanon, there is no internet. We've tried Hughes Network. We've tried everything. What's a kid supposed to do? How can I solve that? Well,
I'm right there.
I need an answer because he's going to be stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's just to address your grievances, it's something that they can do. It's really not a two-way process, and they're not trying to be rude. They make
I understand. Okay.
It's for you to bring your concerns and things to the
And the other thing is the road right in front of my house. The big rocks that they put up against the road are falling in the creek. It's causing when we get a lot of rain, to wash everything out. So the rocks need to be put back.
Would you repeat your name and address, please?
Yes, Larry Bazard, 1229 Churchill Road, Lebanon, Virginia.
Okay. Anyone else? Any person? Okay. Go ahead. Alonzo, if you'll give him the mic. And state your name and address, please.
My name is Heath Bassard, and this is my father. I live at 1229 Churchill Road as well. I spoke to Senator Chafin, and he mentioned that the best way to get internet through there was through a tobacco grant, which y'all mentioned earlier. And just thought maybe we could relocate some funds to get internet through the Hansonville area. Thank you. That's all.
Anyone else? Okay. Kelly, go ahead. State your name and address, please.
Kelly Gilmer, 2410 East Main Street, Lebanon. There's been a lot of discussion about our Confederate monument out here, and I think I might have I know I've got a little different view on that, so just want to make a few comments. My fourth great-grandfather Gilmer received a land grant for property in and around the present-day town of Lebanon in 1756. My house was built by one of his grandsons, my great-great-granduncle Samuel Gilmer, circa 1820. By 1860, Uncle Sam had amassed land and personal property worth almost $2 million in today's dollars. Included in that sum was the value of 15 slaves, also considered property and therefore valued as was livestock. Uncle Sam's 15 slaves were among the 1,099 slaves in Russell County and among the almost 500,000 slaves in Virginia. Virginia had more slaves than any other state in 1860. 4 of Uncle Sam's sons fought in the Civil War. They fought primarily to maintain their economic station in life through the perpetuation of slavery, discrimination, oppression, and white supremacy. They fought to keep their 15 slaves valued as livestock. 80 years later, 2 of my Gilmer uncles fought in Europe against the Nazis, against slavery, discrimination, oppression, and white supremacy. They fought to prevent human beings from being branded and transported in rail cars to their deaths as our livestock. As I sit on my front porch, Uncle Sam's front porch in the evenings, I can see a ridge about a mile to the north which blocks my view of anything beyond. But I know that beyond lies the Clinch River, the coal fields, the Ohio River, the Great Lakes, Canada. And I wonder if any of Uncle Sam's 15 slaves ever looked at that ridge and wondered what lay beyond. They and millions like them never knew what lay beyond their bondage. And I consider, if the people depicted by Confederate monuments had prevailed, if Grant had surrendered to Lee, then the descendants of Uncle Sam's 15 slaves would this very afternoon be standing in my front yard, wondering still what lay beyond that ridge. Today there stands in our county seat a small memorial to my uncles and others like them who fought to free the oppressed. That small memorial is overshadowed by and pales in comparison to the monument erected to honor Uncle Sam's sons and those like them who fought to perpetuate slavery. It was a monument erected to remind the sons and daughters of Russell County's 1,099 slaves of a world that the sons and daughters of their oppressors wished still existed, a world where slaves would still stand in my front yard and wonder what lay beyond that ridge. If we choose to honor our heritage, our families, our town, our county, our state, and our nation with symbols of our racist past, then we are racist still. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Anybody else want to make public comment? Anyone outside?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, sir. State your name and your address, please.
My name's Larry Hughes. I live 20 Glade Holler Drive, 11 Virginia. Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me now? Okay, my name's Larry Hughes. I live at 30 Glade Holler Drive, 11 Virginia. And I would like to take a little exception to the statement I just heard. I'm quite sure the intent of Mr. Gilmer is correct, but I'd like to cover a couple things with people maybe they don't know. Memorial area is located at the intersection of Main Street and Church Street. Has been a historical site honoring the heritage of our fallen soldiers who fought, giving life and crippling losses of limb for our local communities. Has been at its present location since 1944, originally erected in June 18th, 1914. Okay, there was a question, that monument is much bigger than the one honoring the World War I and World War II soldiers. Well, at that point in time, I guess we didn't know World War I was coming. That was a couple years before that, and no way of knowing that World War II was going to be coming. That's why that's probably not mentioned on the monument in itself. As we continue, the memorial pays tribute to all who served honorably to protect the homes and families from the ravages of taking their homes, the livestock, food, and other items to sustain one's life. Because we were being invaded by the North, we were just defending our homes in itself. All right, when we look at this here, we need to understand that when we have a despondent government, a tyrannical government, like the North was doing, coming down, taking our livestock, our families, sure enough, there were slaves at this point in time. And as he mentioned, we didn't have that many slaves in Russell County, but one was too many, but we had them. The monument is not a tribute to the false notions that it was for support slavery. Rather, the monument is a tribute to the fathers and sons who died protecting the society from the outside invading forces. The main claim that the war was about the slavery, but was not about the slavery indeed. It was about the South conceding. Because if you go back and read the history, have you heard of the Cohen Act Amendment, prematurely called the 13th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution? As it was called then, the amendment. One was the three attempts to resolve the secession. So what they did, Congress, both houses passed the 13th Amendment, basically giving the states rights to have slavery. Well, they didn't call it slavery, instead they gave the states rights to have forced labor or labor, and the Constitution would be a constitutional amendment, and not the federal government would not pass any laws or regulations limiting the secession or the ownership of such. As such, why would the South fought and seceded if it was for slavery, since it was given to them? All was given to them. There was letters written by President Lincoln and sent out to several state governors stating that they will give you this right. But yet the states seceded. Why? Because of overreaching of the government by taxation and problems with tariffs. So again, the people saying this monument was all about honoring slavery is wrong. Read the history. The history commitment tells you specifically what happened. It's not about slavery. Slavery was brought up a couple years later after the war was started to bring about the fact that trying to get the Southern soldiers to defeat or defect from the army and not fight. But so the monument is honoring the fallen soldiers, not slavery. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to make a public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll close the citizens' comment period at this time. Next, we have our constitutional officers and reports and requests. And I don't believe any of them's here. Next is the county attorney's reports and requests.
The first two matters under the county attorney reports are the Russell County PSA Consolidation Financial and Support Agreements and the PSA Glade Hollow Water Project. At our previous meeting, we approved resolutions to enter into moral obligations, and that part has not been finalized yet. We're still working to, there have been some last minute things that we've had to take care of and getting everything in the deed so we can finalize the transfer. I did receive a tentative closing date of August the 19th on this matter, and the Russell County PSA meets on August the 18th, and my advice is to have a continued meeting to finalize any outstanding issues so that if we are able to close on the 19th, it won't be delayed. And of course, all of this is going to be contingent upon the courthouse being able to be reopened so we can record some final documents. But hopefully, we've about got all the documents and the financing agreements ready to finalize the consolidation of Castlewood and Russell County PSA.
Thank you.
The next item that I have, it's a tobacco commission grant related to Project Grow. The grant.
Excuse me a minute, Katie. One of those at a time. Is it okay to go ahead and proceed individually on a motion in regards to those first ones? You want to finish out completely and then go back and review?
You can pass a motion to have a continued meeting right now, or you could do that at the end. I mean, that's really.
I just wanted to check.
It doesn't matter.
I didn't want to overload you.
That's fine. Just that decision would be at the end to continue.
I understand. I
the
knew you
meeting.
had quite a bit to go over. I just didn't want to overload you.
Okay, thank you. The Tobacco Commission grant, the board has a copy of, and it's a 17-page document. But as far as the Board of Supervisors, the only document that we have that our approval is required for is the Revenue Sharing Addendum Exhibit D on page 16. I have read through this agreement, and basically what it means is that the money that this company is receiving through the Tobacco Commission, the county will be required to pay 5% of the tax revenue that it collects each year as sort of a repayment to that. Again, it's a small. It'll in reality be a small amount and not be, a lot that you're paying at one time. But it is the Tobacco Commission. This is the way they're going to do all of their grants now. Any money received by the Tobacco Commission will have this new language in it. There was some language when I spoke with the Tobacco Commission that I asked be added, and I've been advised by Andrew Sorrell that it could be added and would not require a commission vote. And that language is that if at any point the amount of tax collected became de minimis, we could request in writing to have that obligation cease. Other than that, I mean, the payment obligation is contingent upon receipt of the tax money, so that, in my opinion, protects the board. Because this project is a revenue sharing project that we did with Buchanan County and Tazewell County, we'll have to make changes also to the revenue sharing agreement that we entered into with all three counties back in March. And the language that I have added, it redefines the net project and revenue to take the 5% off of the gross before it's divided among the three counties pursuant to the agreement. So that would need to be amended as well. Also, we'll need Buchanan County and Tazewell County to approve this amendment too. So if you do decide to proceed forward and approve the addendum and the revenue sharing agreement, I would do that subject to, one, that language being added from the Tobacco Commission, and two, Buchanan County and Tazewell County approving the revised revenue sharing agreement.
Would you like a motion to that effect?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the revenue sharing addendum, Exhibit D, to the grant agreement between the Tobacco Commission and the Russell County IDA, and the revised revenue sharing agreement previously approved by Russell, Tazewell, and Buchanan counties, subject to the following language being added to the Tobacco Commission, allowing the locality to request in writing for the revenue sharing to the Tobacco Commission to cease if the amount to be received by the Tobacco Commission under the revenue sharing agreement becomes de minimis, and subject to the revised revenue sharing agreement being approved by Tazewell and Buchanan counties.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Further discussion? Anybody having questions? All right. All those in favor? Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yeah.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
The next matter I have, Madam Chair, is the continuity of government ordinance. I've spoken with Lonzo, and that ordinance will expire sometime next month, and there will be requirements to finalize that out with the minutes, and I'll update the board more on that. Upon speaking with Lonzo, I think maybe there's been some more money received, and also with the fact that our cases are just now climbing, there may be a need to approve that ordinance. As I stated when we approved the ordinance before, it is only good for 6 months and limits it. So if you were to want to extend the ordinance, it would have to be re-advertised in a public hearing set to re-adopt it. So that's the update on that. We adopted it April the 6th, and then we had our public hearing at the May meeting to officially approve it, but it goes back to that April 6th date. So October the 6th is when it's actually October that it would expire. So that's something, if the board thinks that it will be necessary to, and Lonzo can speak more to the need for that than I, but legally you'll have to re-adopt it and advertise it and have a public hearing.
So we need to do that by our October meeting, correct?
I would do it by,
I'd do it in September.
I would go ahead and have your public hearing in September. That way you're not.
Action, just wait till September.
Well, I mean, if you want to set a public hearing, you would need to do that, make a motion to have a public hearing.
Make a motion to have the public hearing in September.
And then it'll have to be advertised.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to advertise this for our September meeting?
I'll make that motion.
All right. Thank you, Carl. Do we have a second?
Second.
Lou? Any discussion?
Yes.
Does the extension of this, if we decide not to extend it, does it impact our ability to draw down that COVID money, that second round?
It will hinder this is a continuity of government operations. And
Could you get a microphone, Lonzo, please? I was going to ask for you to discuss that. Steve and I kind of collided there.
sorry about that. Wonder where mics went down. Sorry about that. Okay. The question was, will the continuity of government operations need to continue in the ordinance? currently right now we have current COVID money that is assisting our first responders, our PP&E, and various things that we're doing within the county, within the federal grant. The time frame that we have, and it's also on my agenda, is till December the 30th. This gives us the autonomy to have this meeting the way you're sitting in now for Mr. Ray to be able to participate. But it also opens up, ways that we can, if we have an emergency, we don't have to go through the Code of Virginia, and it gives us purchasing rights, and it gives the autonomy to the emergency management director to get what we need, if it's through the squads or through the sheriff departments or through the schools. It gives us a lot of autonomy and flexibility during this time. So if you didn't, you would go back to the normal county operations, and it would hinder you. It was, for example, we gave $5,000 to each of the rescue squads in Russell County last week, and we gave $2,500 to all the fire departments. 2 of them needed it immediately. If we'd been under our current or previous regulations, we would not have been able to assist, because we had that autonomy to be able to move based off of what their needs was, to be able to answer the calls for the Russell County citizens. So it does have a big impact on the government.
Right. And the second 50%, we're getting the second half of that COVID money. Is that correct? I've seen which will be identical to the amount of money that we got before.
That is,
which will be redistributed basically the same way it was before to the towns. Correct?
It will be distributed to the towns. It's under the same federal guidelines that we had before. It pertains to first responders, county operations, and personal PP&E. So as these cases grow, some of our squads, they're having a hard time. So some of them they're billing. The ones that bill are not able to get their billing because of the commercial operations are behind on their reimbursements. The ones that have bingo and take donations aren't able to do that either. So they're running into situations where they need assistance and need it quick, and that's where we have that autonomy.
I just want everybody to understand that,
Yes.
that it impacts our ability to actually draw down on them federal money.
Yes, sir.
And if we don't draw it down, it goes back to the state,
It will
they'll
go back to-
redistribute it accordingly to somebody else.
I know some of the rescue squads and stuff I talked to, their cost estimates came in a lot higher than $5,000. Was that a number that just was picked out to give each one, or was it based on each individual one giving you a spreadsheet of what they've incurred as far as expenses? How does that, can you just explain how all that works?
I can. When the CARES committee decided, to give it to the emergency EMS, the squads, and the fire departments, we weren't aware of the second phase that was coming in, this additional money. So what we were trying to do is be very good stewards on what we were incurring, because not only do we have the squads to take care of, we got the sheriff's department, the courthouses, the government employees, we got food pantries, we got other organizations that has got to be considered, businesses, PP&E. So we told the squads, and they said they could proceed with the $5,000 each, along with EMS, which is Jess. He is getting them through FEMA too. So they're getting supplies through FEMA and supplies through us. So we're hitting it at every direction that we can to ensure that the squads and the first responders and the sheriffs have what they need when they go on a call. What you got to remember is, whether we have put in our system, whether they are COVID or not, we have to treat each and every call as though they do have it. So when they go in, they must have PP&E on, even into the hospitals or each one of the homes. So if one shows up and he's through a squad and he needs to assist through the fire department to assist, they all must be in full PP&E.
So basically our police officers and all of those are covered pretty well, and then our first responders, because we definitely need to support
Yes.
all of those people. I mean, they're on the front lines of this thing every day, so I appreciate it, Lonzo. Thanks for the information.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't know anything about the federal side with Jez, so that's good information.
Yes, we're hitting it from every angle. And that was one of the things that when you look at this is a federal grant. It did come down through the state. It's only a conduit to the counties, and we are expended only to protect Russell County citizens.
Is allowed to use some of that money to assist small businesses?
There is a covenant in there or guideline to be able to assist in it. There's opportunities for loans or grants. There has to be an application. They have to meet certain classification criteria to be able to do that. But we'd be glad to start that program. That's what we're looking in right now for an application to look at business loans or grants from that perspective. So
Let me say one more thing. I know
and PP&E.
we get
There's two programs.
overloaded or overwhelmed a lot of times with emails and stuff of all the money and the programs and the grants and all that's coming down. We really need to make that available to all of our citizens and all of our small business owners. Do you post all that on the website or where people can review, like the new Go Virginia initiative and application that these small business owners can look at for that 10,000? I just got that today, and I appreciate you sending that out. But
Yeah, we do. We put that on our website. I put it on Facebook. I put it on our Twitters. I also have go to my computer.
well, I know that, but I just know a lot of people don't have internet.
I know.
and they don't know how to get on there, or they don't know what a lot of where this information. I don't know, is there a way that we could publicize this in the paper or let people know? I mean, I know we have all kinds of ways and avenues to do it through social media. I just don't think the general business people in this area and community really understand or know. I forward it to them when I get it. I send it to all the businesses I can to let them know this is available if they want to dip into it and apply.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, I didn't even know you could do that. Or I didn't know. I know Eric there in Honaker told me, he said, I didn't even know it was available till you sent it to me.
Right.
I just don't think that there's enough awareness to the amount of money and funds that should really be more transparent out there. I don't know how we do it and fix it all. I'm just saying, I just want to bring it up to see if we can't just think outside the box a little bit and get it out to these people.
Well,
Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Thank you for that.
And and that's a good point. Maybe as we bring these grant and loans into the program and to be able to look at this, especially with this phase 2, we can put it into the paper and start moving into a central location. Here, this is the Russell County COVID website that has all the loans that pertain to COVID, Go Virginia, PP, and A. We look at small business loans. Everything is in one centralized location, and I've got it that way to assist the businesses. But yeah, you have to drive the traffic there. They have to know to take a look.
I was thinking a partnership between the Treasurer's Office, Commissioner of Revenue, to maybe send it out to all these people where we collect taxes from them through PP, from as far as the personal property tax and all that. They're invested in us. I think it's a good idea to maybe work through them as a partnership and do a mail out just one time to let them know that all these are available if you're interested. I just don't think a lot of people get on the county website. I mean, a lot of business people and a lot of people, and like you said, you can flood them with information, but it's a pretty stressful time for a lot of small and medium, large business owners. And I mean, a personal visit or something to let them identify that you can qualify for $10,000, would that help you out? I just think would be a good opportunity. But I'm just, if we could think outside the box a little bit, and all of us work together to get it out there a little bit better. I know everybody's doing their own little thing, and it'd be better if we can consolidate the effort.
And the board supervisor knows every afternoon I bombard you with a ton of information. It's from every agency, regulation, guidelines, grants, movements. It's overwhelming. The towns are, they even to get into where they they call me and say, Lonzo, how much do we need? But the good thing is this. By working through the Board of Supervisors with this funding, you're giving opportunity to different, not just the first responders, not to the residents, but you're also giving it to the food pantries. You're giving it back to the churches. You're giving back to businesses that will not need it. This will stay here, this will earn here, this will work here. So this is what we need. And I've heard comments, it's a for revenue replacement. If anybody wants to go, which I'll be publishing here soon, our budget ended last year with a $1.1 million surplus, and that was going through COVID. So this is not a revenue replacement. This is something that the county uses and uses only for the COVID and the COVID event.
Any other discussion on the continuity of government? It also allows us to continue with our governmental operations with this.
I'm sorry, we started off on the government operations.
Yeah.
Pretty well. I apologize.
Okay, at this time, any further discussion? All right, Carl made the motion, Luann seconded. Now we'll vote. Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. So we will need.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get my hand.
We got money, we got CARES money we need to spread.
We need to get another microphone.
Yeah.
COVID money.
The next thing that I have for the board is approval of the personnel policy. Went through many revisions with Lonzo. I mean, it's a very voluminous document. I think we've gotten it pretty much where we want it to be, but I mean, as I've stated before, I mean, I think you can, look at it. Anytime you look at it, you probably find something you might want to tweak. But I mean, I think we've got it pretty good. The last few things that are highlighted were just things that I wanted to see how the board wanted to handle. For demotions and promotions, that's either a reduction of 5% or more, or an increase of 5% or more. Does this board want to have control over that, or do you want to leave that solely with the county administrator? That's the only thing that needs to be addressed. The way it is written in the policy right now is that it is based upon board approval. So, but that's up to you. That's up to this board if you want to have that oversight. And then the other thing that required board approval, which is another highlighted thing, is the approval of personnel classifications or new job descriptions. And most of the day-to-day things you do want to leave with your county administrator, but especially the demotions and promotions, however the board wants to handle. I don't really have you need to do it this way position on that. I think it can be done either way, but I do think the board should approve all new job classifications, and the county administrator will, for the manager class level, for your supervisors and your heads of departments, you all would approve that. So that would be my advice. And then as far as the demotions and promotions, however you all wanted to handle that. But other than that, I'm submitting the personnel policy for this board's approval.
Well, we don't have any motion or anything on the floor, but can we discuss at this time a little bit?
I think that would be appropriate, because, I mean, you need to make the decision for that, and so you don't know what you're approving
Yes,
yet.
thank you. So, Madam Chair, if I may, I don't have a problem leaving it kind of the way it is, because the citizens elect the Board of Supervisors. So if it needs to come before the public, then the public will know. And I think that there's sometimes some misunderstandings on salaries and that sort of thing. So I know that not everything is going to be transparent in that sort of way, but I do think for this board discussion that I don't mind to leave it that way.
Yes, and as far as if you did vote on a demotion or a promotion, you would not name the employee. It would be employee A or B, because that would be information that is protected. Yeah, however you want to do it. You can say, make a motion as presented, or you can say, make a motion to change any of the language that I left up, regarding the promotion or the demotion.
I'll say this, I would be in favor of leaving it like the policy, personnel policy we had handed to me when I first came on board. There's a few changes here that I kind of feel shaky about. So, and I have studied the other, but I haven't got a chance to really view the changes like I would like to. So I guess my vote would be nay.
We need to make a motion first. So, do we want to, Katie, have the motion that say that we accept it as it is now?
If that's the board's preference, I mean.
But one more thing, if I may. Inside that policy now is, that the board, it comes back to the Board of Supervisors for that vote, right?
And I've got the demotion language pulled up here. It says, county administrator initiate assignment of an employee to a lower position with less job responsibilities that results in a minimum of a 5% reduction in base salary upon board approval. So that's a definition of what a demotion is, but that definition is requiring that if those circumstances happen, you all have to approve it first. Lonzo couldn't do it on his own is basically what it means.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any motion to accept the personnel policy as Katie has presented tonight? How do you want to state that? Lou, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm okay with how it's all being presented, but I still think that, and I'm not clear on that other one. I realize that piece has to come back from Lonzo, but the other piece is what I was talking about.
The
And I think-
promotion?
And I think I've confused my peers here.
The promotion is also in the definition section at the beginning of the personnel manual, and it is defined as county administrator initiated assignment of an employee to a higher position with more job responsibilities that results in a base salary increase upon board approval.
And so that's a county administrator decision.
It's basically, he makes a recommendation to you all, and you either accept it or you reject it.
So it still has to come before the board.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you. I'm good.
And then whenever there's a change or a new job position classification, you all have to approve that. He'll draw it up, he'll draft it, but this board would approve it. Those are the big things that I saw when I did the review of the personnel manual where board action was required. A lot of it's just general rules that the county administrator would enforce, but that's where you all were involved, and I wanted to see what this board's position was on that.
Do we have a motion to accept the personnel policy as Katie has presented to us tonight?
So moved, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Lou, do we have a second?
Second.
Tim, do we have any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Oris?
Nay.
Carl? Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. All right, we'll accept our new policy manual as she's presented. Okay, Katie?
The next thing that I have, Madam Chair, is the RFP for the courthouse design build. I'll mess up my dates. Back in the spring and early winter, or actually last year, we hired a project manager to oversee the renovations to the courthouse, and Mr. Ellswick has prepared an RFP that I have reviewed based upon the PPEA guidelines that this board adopted. It also sets out timelines for, there's going to be when questions can be answered and a site visit, and it lays out the timelines that they hope to keep the project on track. I've reviewed the RFP, and And I do think that it looks okay, and I would ask that the board approve that RFP.
So do we have a motion to accept this RFP?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Steve, thank you. A second?
Second.
Lou? All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting the RFP as Katie has reviewed? Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. That being said, I just want to make sure, Mr. Breeding, you'll still serve with me. We'll meet and discuss how we want things to look up there. All right, thank you.
The last thing on my list, Madam Chair, is it's a courthouse security ordinance. And I don't know if you all are already aware, we actually already have this ordinance in place. What it does is it adds to the court costs $10, and it's a security fee. And actually, probably we'll need to get Steve here because the sheriff is actually the one that recommends it, and he is the one that brought it to the judge's attention, who brought it to my attention. The last ordinance we did, I think, was back in 2007, but Senate Bill 141, which was passed, has given localities the option of increasing that fee from $10 to $20, and so that would add to court costs, like if you get a speeding ticket or other criminal cases and things like that, that there's always court costs that go with that. And due to the nature that a lot of our issues with the courthouse renovation are for security, I do think it's really appropriate that because that's what this Senate bill is for. It's to help with courthouse security. So it is an ordinance, and so to make this, you would have to set a public hearing for this. But I think this would be definitely something that would be beneficial to the board in relation to the courthouse renovations.
I'll make a motion that we set the public hearing
All right.
for
September meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Steve. All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor of setting this public hearing in September? Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. All right, that finishes all yours up. Next will be the county administrator reports and request.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, on the county administrator reports and request is the you're fine. Is the LMEP grant through the Department of Emergency Management. This is a $7,500 grant that the county is given every year for training for emergency management and travel. And this is a report from July the 1st of 2019 to June 30th, 2020. This is the previous year's report to ensure that it was in compliance. The Department of Emergency Management has submitted this to the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. It has been accepted. So this is a reporting for the grant and its completion. Next on the county administrator reports, of course, is the annual performance agreement contract through the Cumberland Mountain Community Services. This is the agreement for them to service our Russell County citizens through the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services for the residents within the county of need of services. This is just, again, the annual agreement on the type of services and how they will be participating in their number of programs and what assistance they can give to our residents. The next one, which is a good one, and this one always is, this is a request by the Russell County Cannery Committee. And as the Board of Supervisors had talked previously, due to the COVID issue, we're seeing an increase in our canneries and tobacco commission. So this is running hand in hand. This is actually a good time and opportunity. So in the letter, I met with the Russell County Cannery Committee last week, and they were trying to figure out how to deal with the new environment with the COVID, but give the opportunities to Russell County citizens to be able to can, because everyone knows during the March-April time frame, food was very scarce. You know, you couldn't go into Walmart, so now a lot of guards are being grown. A lot of people are becoming very proactive into how they run their home and how they care for their home, and this is one of the things that to do. So the Cannery Committee came up with some very innovative ideas to be able to do this, and this will come under the COVID money too. And it, as far as farmers markets and food pantries and canneries, they are covered under this issue of the COVID. They want to run Monday through Thursday, because right now everything has to be scheduled, because we're still under the separation based off the type of operations, canning operations they can perform at each cannery. So they have to schedule it based off of the type of operations and who's coming in there and what they're canning. And to be able to get the separation, they're only open the limited number of days. So they're requesting to open up for Russell County citizens for Monday through Thursday for regular Russell County citizens canning, to be able to expand the operations. And then to assist them even more, they've come up with the suggestion that on Friday we would do the large group scheduling, like the churches and the organizations that come in with the apple butter that takes up all the room. No disrespect, we love them to come, but they kind of overwhelm, and it's hard to get everybody in there at one time, and they would have the dedicated space. Then on Saturday, to go even farther, which is an issue they were working on before the COVID started, they want to do training. They want to give, a lot of people are very interested in it. We've had numerous calls on it to where they want to can, they're growing their garden, but they don't know how to can. So, you know, I learned with my grandparents, but some people are wanting to get really good at this. So what they have offered to do, we have 5 that sit on the Cannery Committee that have very extensive experience, and they're working with Virginia Tech. So they also, when they're in there canning, it's just not the green, you know, the canning of green beans and corn or sauerkraut. It also goes into the pH balances and the cans and the jars and what you're to do and the science of it. So this is a very good, and they want to do this on the Saturdays. They want to do this over the next 6 weeks, beginning this weekend, to be able to do it, and we'll publish it out, and they'll have trainers at each one every Saturday for 4 to 5 hours, depending on which classes they're giving. And this is based off the program of Virginia Tech in conjunction with the experience of this 5 group. And this is what they're proposing to the Board of Supervisors. So that being that, I will need a motion, because currently right now we only have limited operations to, you know, the Tuesday, Wednesday, you know what I mean, Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday operation. So they want to go uniform to where they're Monday through Thursday at both locations, Friday for groups, and then Saturday for training.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. They're going to do this at both locations?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
I will say this too. I mean, I know right now, I went looking for jars. You can't find jars.
You can't find jars.
You can't find jars. You
cans.
can't find lids.
If anybody has them,
if you know anybody that's got jars, and also I know that we've run into a little snag on trying to get some cans, but I know you're working on it.
Yes, sir, we are. We're
Thank
trying to
you.
get jars and cans.
I know
so
you
we're
are. Thank you,
trying-
Lonzo.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, I thought you wanted me to talk to it.
I
Yes.
said, last time you and I talked, you had ordered them back in June the 19th and hadn't received anything. Have you got any different thing to tell us today?
Right now, my staff is working on them. We have called Colorado, New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and here is what we're competing with. Back again to the first part of the conversation as far as cans. When you walk through Walmart in March and April, you didn't see a thing on the shelf. that depleted the inventory of the major manufacturers and producers. We had previously got cans from Ball, that's who we usually get them from. Now they're exporting cans. The big manufacturers are standing there with tractor and trailers trying to get their surplus built back up for all the world. So we are trying as a cannery to get our foot in the door or even go pick them up, but the production line is so overwhelming right now on the big large orders that we're trying to work our way in, and Ball is working with us on that. But again, we're standing in line with, I guess, the rest of the United States and the world, because right now, even when you go in Walmart, you will still notice, or Food City, you'll still notice a lot of canned goods are not available. Also, if residents pay attention, you will not see a lot of aluminum cans available. You will not see the beer cans. You will not see the pop cans. You will not. They're not making them. So they're utilizing what aluminum they have right now for food, not drink, but food. That's what she told. She also made the comment out of Tennessee that they were shipping into Australia. That's how big it's gotten, and they were running 24/7. So we will continue again. To make a long story short, we're going to continue each and every day to work on these.
Well, if you aren't able to get the cans, then why are you used to having the canneries open like we just previously spoke of? If they don't have cans to
That's a good question. Right now, our canneries will do cans and jars. A lot of ladies and groups that can, if you when you go back to our reports from the cannery, they are 95% jars now in our canneries. They have been for the last
jars.
2 years. Yes, they're using 95% of jars. That way they get, only thing they have to do is repurchase the lids and the seals and be able to, and they go back and use them. They're using them over and over, like Mr. Eaton said. The jars are the way to go, and there's two times that we kind of run into issues with cans, and that's it's really during the meat time, and that's when we're trying to get them. The can and put it to canned meat is the best way to do it, and that's what they'll all tell you. But anything else, it will be appropriate for the jars.
Well, now I found jars at Farm Bureau and Richlands, the regular jars, and the other Ball and Kerr.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only place I found regular jars. It's been wide mouth because most people don't can them wide mouth jars. And I was just fortunate enough to find those, and I had some on hand, to do my honey, because we're in the season of harvesting honey as well.
We have even got some, even to not make this too long, but we've even went out to our local retailers, southern states. We went to local to see if we seen a sale last week, and I'm pretty sure Russell County citizens did too, where they were selling cans. By the time we got there, it was like an hour and a half. They were gone. I mean, we were just going to grab what they had and get them for the Russell County citizens. They were already gone.
All right, thank you, David and Steve. All right, at this time, we'll vote on this. Oris?
Yes.
Our class. Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is the update on the Russell County GIS system. I sent a link with our GIS system for the Board of Supervisors to be able to go in and look at this and look at the different features that this system has. We currently have interactive GIS. This is an upgrade model to GIS to where it has multiple features. It has, of course, all of our residents are land cards. It also has our fire and rescue capability, water and sewer capability to be able to be a little more active than what we have in our currently GIS system. Also, in our GIS system, which I met with the Sheriff's Office and 911 Office today, they are currently reviewing it also to see how it ties into the 911 system. We also are working with the Assessor's Office to make sure that this works with our current system to be able to upgrade it with all of our land and property issues. So again, we're in the phase one of this. Please take a look at it, review it, make recommendations. This is the time to do it. And when we get to the point to where we can get all the groups together on a consolidated list of recommendations, I will invite the group, the IT group from Interactive GIS to come in, and we will sit down and go through what we have proposed and again make other recommendations till we get a really good system within the county.
I got one question on that. Does an outside firm host that on their servers?
Yes, sir, they do. That's
Do you know who
Interactive
that is?
It's Interactive GIS.
Interactive GIS?
Yes, sir.
Is that a Google service, or do you know?
No, sir. It's actually it is a GIS system out of Roanoke.
Uh-huh.
It's the same ones that Washington County uses. If you go in
Okay.
there, it's got our interactive seal down there, our GIS.
Thank you.
Yes. They specialize in GIS and emergency management. Maybe that's what I said. So take a look at that, and we're getting ready as soon as we get our overlays in place from the Commissioner Assessor's Office. We're doing the overlays from the 911 to make sure that we've got accurate benchmarks and land and accurate land records and et cetera. It's updated. Then we'll start looking at the features within the system. So next on the county administrator reports is the Russell County Fitness Center. This is the Russell County Fitness Center is on our due to, as had been discussed in previous meetings, that with the Virginia Department of Health is proposing moving into these rooms right behind us, and we've been working on it with the Russell County IDA, and we're at the point to where we're going to have to decide what to do with that space down there. Currently, right now, the VDH is wanting part of the access to, in conjunction with DSS and the old workforce development offices. Thank you, Steve. And right now, the only ones that's occupying that is the extension offices. The extension office would be moving down into that space because VDH is actually what they're requesting based off of moving their operations of the clinic, which is where currently the Sheriff's Department is, along with their executive management team of Cumberland Plateau that's now over at Cumberland Plateau facility over from Virginia Department of Transportation. They're coming in here together. They're needing over 12,000 square feet. So it's going to occupy this whole end of the building will be occupied by DSS, VDH, and DMME. So, except for of course, the Russell County Board of Supervisors rooms. But to do that, in part of the design, the co-op extension office would have to occupy those spaces down there. So we're at that point where we're moving forward. The funding is available. The plans are together. So we're at the point to where the Board of Supervisors, we have to move into that space and dedicate that space to the co-op. Any questions? I know there is.
Okay. So I've been working with Tony Doty in the town trying to, as you know, they're building a nice new rec center down there. It'll have a full-size basketball court. It'll have a weight room and fitness room and rooms for classes and things of that nature. And of course, it's funded by the town. So what I've been able to talk to them about, able to negotiate with them, I asked them to set up a non-resident rate, which would be for anybody who is not a member of the town, not within the town limits, I think. And I don't know exactly what their definition is going to be. It could be that there was one time that anybody that had a 24266 zip code would qualify as in town. I don't know if that's right or not. They'll have to figure that out. But what they've agreed to do, and I've passed out a rate schedule there. What they're saying for a day pass that a resident and non-resident. If you just wanted to do a day pass, it's the same thing. It's $5. And you come in and that will give you access to all the facilities if you just want to do it a day at a time. Children 12 and under is $3. Seniors 65 and over is $3. So you can do that as well. If you want to do an individual membership, and they originally had this out by season because part of the season you had access to the pool and the other part of the season you didn't. But they've gone back and just revised that and made it one fee. It would be $35 a month for residents and $45 for non-residents. Our monthly rate right now at the wellness center is $40 a month. So this is additional $5, but the deal is you get access to their swimming pool, the basketball courts, any of their recreational facilities in there. So it's really not a bad deal. Full membership for a resident, which would be inside town, $420, a non-resident $540, and that averages out to $45 a month. Here's where the real bargain comes. If you want to do like a family membership, you can do that at cost of a resident would be $50 a month. That would be for a family of 2 or more. And a non-resident would be $60 a month, which averages out for 2 people $30, which is a savings of $10. And you still get access to the pool and the whole thing. And if you want to do a full year's membership for the family, $600 regardless of how many people are in the family, $720 for the non-residents, which works out to $30 a month per person. And you can read down here, it says membership includes admission to the rec center. It includes access to all facilities provided they are open. Membership may or may not include special offered classes, and that's like the armchair yoga class and the classes they offer down here. They'll ask a special fee, and I think what they're going to do, they're going to talk to Carolyn down here about instructing those. They also, you can do room reservations and things of that nature. Membership does not include providing any of your personal equipment like mats, yoga mats, or towels, or things of that nature. And apparently they're going to have, they've got this note, all equipment used during the facility, during usage of the facility must be signed out. So apparently, I guess it's probably for basketballs and things of that nature, I would think, that they're going to make available there, So, and what I'd propose to them, if you can set this non-residential rate so that our people, the people who are using, the 170-some people that are involved in our wellness center right now will have access to this new facility and the expanded services that you have. We can take our equipment and you can outfit your fitness center with our equipment because we're going to have to do something with it anyway. And I don't think they're going to be able to use it all. And so when they come up and assuming we pass this and we come up and make a selection, I would propose that anything that they don't want, we should try to divide between the 3 county high schools. Maybe for their weight rooms, the high school weight rooms, football, if we ever get back to playing football, and try to do it on an equitable basis. I think they're probably more interested in the bicycles and some of the light, maybe a machine or two, maybe things of that nature, treadmill or something like that. But Shane Farmer will. I talked to Tony last week, and he wanted to know when they could make a selection. I think they're going to try to open this thing about mid-August, which is not to say that the entire facility will be open, but they're going to try to have an initial opening sometime in mid-August. So I told him hold off until the board looks at this and the board gives their blessing on this, and then we can talk about how to transition this thing if this is what the board wants to do. So that's what we have here, and what it does, it frees up the rest of that space down there for, I guess, for future offices. Which I'm not sure, we might not ought to look if we could create a space, if we could work something with the college to make some of that internet space available to kids, give them a place to come. The gentleman wanted to talk to him, but there's, that might be something that we could do, is maybe work through the college to see if they would make those spaces available during the week for kids to come and, actually sit down and hook up to an internet, not just have to sit out in the parking lot and do their homework. So I'll try to answer any questions you might have, or But, you know, this is kind of like the best of both worlds. We can get out of the fitness business, and we're still providing service to our people, an expanded service, actually.
Yes. Just that on what Mr. Breeding had focused on. The Russell County Board of Supervisors, you know, to give a little history, we had the YMCA down here on the lower end. And actually at the time, somehow, it was through the YMCA out of Tazewell. The Board of Supervisors, when they came aboard, they moved that into Russell County. Not Tazewell County, but they operated it now as Russell County. And we put in what equipment. We had donated equipment to us, and we did it on a shoestring, and we did it in-house, and we kind of built it up to, 170 members right now. But one of the things the board did not want to do, because it became in everyone's schedule, not just the town residents, but the county residents too, we wanted to be able to transition, like Mr. Breeding says, without them doing without the services. So, you know, looking at it with our equipment and to be able to do it and move the facilities over to there, it also joins, you know, the walking trails, the pools, the wading pools, the ball fields, the picnic shelters, the volleyball courts. I mean, it's expanded. This is almost like a small component of the Coombs Center. This is the way, it's about basically the way the Coombs started when I was in Washington County. It started off the same way, so it's a good facility. So, and again, VDH is coming. They are a partner. They're already moving on the contractual part. So as soon as we get this in and this moved down here and it built and new roof on here, so that's part of it. So.
And the schools can't play football yet, but they can condition. So that would be great.
Yes. So there will have to be a motion to move, you know, to move on this. So.
Well, if nobody wants to make that motion, I will make that motion that we accept this proposal from the town of Lebanon, and we allow them to come and pick up whatever equipment they need at their own schedule, and that we try to reallocate any machines or any weight equipment that they cannot use in their facility in some equitable manner amongst the high schools, you know, and allow them to use it maybe in the football, the weight wrestlers in football and whatever can, you know, if they can use anything. And as Rebecca pointed out, we've got a bunch of equipment out over in Cleveland as well, and we probably need to look at it and see if what kind of condition it's in, if it can be repaired or if it's serviceable, and, you know, make that available to the high schools as well.
I'll second.
Okay.
I'll second that for discussion, please.
Okay.
I like this idea. I understand this idea. I think it's workable. But you all know me, so I've got to throw this out here. I've got District 2, which is North Castlewood and Dank, Virginia, Little Gravel Lick. How many of District 2, do we know how many District 2 people travel to Lebanon to use this facility of these 170 people? Do I have anybody?
I don't know, but I imagine Carol can tell you.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to cause an argument. I just want to make a point that, again, I think the idea has merit, and I'm not going to vote against it. I'm just going to say that right now. But I am going to say that I have a particular facility that I would like to see some exercise equipment done in, which is the lower part of mine and Mr. Lovelace's shared community center at the Castlewood High School. And I know that, David, you've got places that could use your community, work in your community. Carl, I know you can hear us maybe, but he's got a place or two at his community, possibly a building that we could have an anytime fitness center that pays into this thing. But I know that you want to do it for the town purposes, and I get that. We're getting out of the business of exercising, I guess, around the county. But I'm just trying to be fair and trying to come up with places for our people that are not necessarily going to be able to come and use the facility. And I've preached that before. And I appreciate what we've done. But if we can make it possible for anybody in our small districts to be able to have some form of physical activity indoors that's nice, I think we need to look at that. And if we've got equipment, that's what I'm going for. So,
Well,
excuse me.
I'm not, I don't even know if the high schools would want that equipment. That just seemed like an outlet,
well,
a
I
usable
think
way. If you want to take it and make a facility out of it, I'm all for it.
I
More
understand.
service to everybody else.
I get it. I'm good with this, but I just want to say that on behalf of the folks who can't come to Lebanon and exercise, if we as district supervisors try to take care of our little places a little bit, I've got one that I've been hammering on for a while, and Tim knows this, and that's down in the Castlewood area, that we could have an anytime fitness. I don't care if they pay the Lebanon or whatever. I mean,
Right.
if they pay their fee, I don't care what that goes to. It could go to enhance the use of our community centers. And I'm belaboring this, and it's getting me nowhere. But anyway, I just had to point that out, that I think it's important, because we're going to have a lot of extra things. We paid $15,000 to somebody I can't remember to buy equipment that's down in Cleveland that Carl's not even using.
Yes.
I will amend my motion to allow any board member to select after the town
we would
picks
drop
what
off
they
a
can
tractor
use.
trailer load of equipment.
After the town picks what they can use, and I don't think there's by any stretch of the imagination they can use it all. We need to allocate it out to community centers if they want to do it.
Well, I would like to say this too. I mean, since we're going to be donating some of it to the school and some of it to the community centers, which I've always thought that the partnership relationship between our school system and the facilities they already have intact, they're very underutilized. And the general public could use those for community centers, as well as when the athletes and the students and stuff come back into session or whenever. But during the summer months and stuff like that, those buildings stay locked. Nobody uses none of that equipment. And I think that we need to have a conversation in regards to that, because I think with the trade outs that we've currently in the relationship we have with them, I think those facilities could be utilized more than just during sport-related activities. I think they could be utilized for aerobics and tracks. Most of the football fields have tracks and have facilities that that we have positioned around them, and most of them have some of the top-notch weightlifting equipment in this whole region. And I think if you put a few treadmills and made it feasible for some of the other people to utilize them, we already have the facilities. We just need that partnership relationship with the school system to open those up for more activity.
Well, back before all this broke loose on us, all of our high schools do use their all their weight rooms, all their exercise, because that is part of the 21st Century Grants. And part of that is they do use those facilities every summer, all three high schools.
But they don't use them on the weekends.
They do let them come in and work out. A lot of boys do go to work out. I know a lot of the coaches volunteer their free time and they go in. Yeah, that's something we need to share with all of them.
I agree.
Just to give a comment back to Miss Wallace, you will be surprised how many come out of Castlewood. When we were doing tours, and we did tours around the different counties looking at their fitness center, and they include the Coombs Center and Tazewell County YMCA, the big one they have down there, all the way into Whitfield. We went in at 8 o'clock in the morning at the Coombs Center in Washington County. There was 14 people that were signed in. 8 of the 14 was from Russell County. They were driving from Russell County to Washington County. Yes. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, I thought, my goodness, why don't we have a facility like that?
I'm glad they're healthier than I am.
But we'll take a look at that and look at each one of the community centers the castle would be a great place for one right
Now,
there,
that
especially
was,
the.
that was just an idea. I'm with Steve on this. I'm there, but I just think that we've got opportunity to put things in our communities that other people might not be able to come to Lebanon or go to Washington County. I understand.
Well, sure.
I'll amend my second.
Oris,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Lou,
Yes, and thank you.
and Tim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and Rebecca. Yes, we will share the equipment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county administrator reports and requests, of course, is the Federal CARES Relief Fund certification. This is round 2. So again, Russell County has received $2,319,526 in this round 2. That will be combined with what we have remaining, and we have not expended on our COVID since the 1st of March. This also in the $2.3 million remaining we have to allocate to all the towns. They get their fair share of it based off the population between the town of Lebanon, town of Honaker, the town of Cleveland, and the town of St. Paul. So these formulas are sent down by the Treasurer of Virginia, so we're just really following their guidelines on what to appropriate and allocate out. So it's already preset. But again, this is an opportunity for the Board of Supervisors to take a look at the first responder needs, the PPE, to be able to do the future to protect Russell County citizens, look at food pantries, donations, canneries, and hotspots, additional hotspots. They're also under the guidelines, but I put in the guidelines what was applicable to this program, and we can come back together and at the board's discretion to be able to look at some of these ideals and suggestions. So I will need a motion for approval to accept $2,319,526
So
under
moved.
the second and final allocation of the federal coronavirus release funds from
Do we have a motion to accept this money?
So moved.
Tim, do we have a second?
Second.
Lou, any discussion?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay. Can we talk a little bit about our education of our children through this, the way the school situation is? And I may be way off, so stop me if I am. It's 7:30 and I do want to go home too. But I've gotten some things for some teachers, and I'm sorry I can't see my peers up here, but where they're using possible community centers, and this gentleman here, I've got his address, and I know Steve wanted to talk to him also.
Yeah, I got his address too.
Okay, but we're looking, some of the teachers had sent out some of these ideas of these community centers that are in our communities, and they have plexiglass sections on their tables. So you have a round table, and you have some sort of a gizmo that divides that, so it gives you a cubicle, a student cubicle with a plexiglass, and then you get a monitor, I guess, a school monitor. A person would monitor inside that to make sure the children are all in their studies. Now, everybody's not going to be in the same classroom, and I guess they understand that, but I'm just wondering in this, I've had a question, and a teacher reached out to me and said, how do I find money to do this? And I plugged her into a grant. Now, if we can take some of this and educate our children, besides sitting in a parking lot in Mama and Papa's car or Mommy and Daddy's car, that's just not going to work, and that wouldn't work for anybody in my family either, if I had to drive them there. And I understand we're doing what we can do, but if we can take this to help educate the children in our community centers, ever what it takes, I'm just wondering. So thank you for allowing me to
I'd like to ask a question since Lou's brought that up, because that's a good point. I'm really interested in internet activity or connection activity or hotspots in the Drill Community Center, Swords Creek Community Center. And I know we don't use Givens Elementary School at all, and it's a lot of separation in that school and a lot of different classrooms, and through a little bit of parental assistance and guidance, all we would need is make sure they had internet access and they have their Chromebooks, with them. But I think we're going to have to utilize just about everything we have in this county because of the circumstance and situation to give these kids access. And one good thing about it, we need to identify those areas that do have broadband or internet access, because I've got 3 hotspots through my business and activity right now that people can utilize. But these kids and for the parents too, I don't know how other parents feel, but it's going to be some very trying times for the parents.
Yes.
And I mean, just through learning, I don't know if I could teach my 14-year-old what they're learning today, and I'm just being honest with you, that, and then it's like starting new. It's like going into this phase. It's just like, and I guess Tim can relate more than anybody where he works in it with IT and the IT department, but I've got customers right now that struggle being able to get on the internet, let alone trying to help the kids. The kids are pretty much more suited to do it, ain't they, Tim, than a lot of parents, but to be able to help to educate them. I just wanted to bring it out because I like, loose. We need to utilize just about everything we have in our areas to get some kind of connection out there, so these kids won't have to sit in a car with a parent and be able to try to figure it out. I just don't think it's going to work. I'll be honest with you. I just don't think it's going to work at all. I think some hands-on separation, and if we have to buy the plexiglass and we have to work with the school system to do that, I think that's something we need to be aggressive with. Sorry for taking up.
Schools have a pretty good chunk of COVID money, don't they?
Yeah, they have their own CARES money. Yes, they do, and I'll explain on our side what we're doing on our side as far as the hotspots. This government center, the parking lot is hot. It's open to anyone that wants to use it, so as the veterans be able to use it. Now, Drill is hot too. I've got all the community centers are hot except for Finney. Now, you're working in IT.
They
and
need
Oak Grove, I'm sorry. And there's, Oak Grove and Finney.
Finney don't have it.
Yeah, we're going to try. Those are the only 2. But again,
kids need a place where they can come in and sit down. You
Yeah,
can't sit in a car and keep it running and try to keep it cool.
Yes.
We got to figure that out, how to
do
get them some
something.
access. If you're only, say if you accept so many and let them call in and pre-register or whatever to get them inside, to get them at a table. And I think we ought to utilize every bit of this college area down here, and I'm sure Dr. Wright wouldn't care a bit for the circumstance and what we're under. But
it might cost us a little bit to have it cleaned up, but we've got the COVID money to cover all that. We can do the extra cleaning and whatever.
Okay. Yeah, if y'all have been out to our various, which we've already been installing, especially in the courthouse, if you've been in the front of the government center, you'll see those separators that we have, and we're starting to put the separators in between the workspaces. The tables that Ms. Wallace was referring to, actually, there's manufacturers now designed to where you can actually lock them in and move them as you need. We've already been looking at those.
Let me ask one more question real quick, because my mind's going 100 mile an hour. But like, say, I heard through rumor, it might not be true, that they might not have any aides at the school. I'm not real sure. They're going to hire aides.
They're hiring.
But if there's additional aides or additional retirees that's retired out of the school system that might want to volunteer and help with these kids and situations, I know I volunteered this morning to load the buses with the food that went out, and I'm telling you what, it is all unless you've never done it, you need to do it, because you don't know what it takes to feed these children in this county. And I was so humbled by it. It was amazing. It was like huge conveyor lines of people, and they were working nonstop just to make sure that these kids in our county are fed. And I was very touched by what's going on and what they're doing, but we really need to kind of think outside the box a little bit on trying to get these kids serviced.
Absolutely. And it is going to be, it's a difficult time. Tim?
Yeah, and we've got hot spots. We've got Honeacre Elementary, Belfast, Lebanon Middle and Elementary, Copper Creek, and Castlewood Elementary and High. All are hot spots, and we're going to add some more. We're going to add Swords Creek, and we're going to been working with Jim Little. We're going to put a hot spot area there in the Methodist Church right off of Churchill Road. I've got that equipment ordered, and I'm going to try it at Oak Grove Community Center.
You going to try to reach
But
Oak
there's
Grove?
not much cell service there, so I don't know. But the equipment is ordered. But those are still hot spots. I mean, they're not like sitting down in front of a teacher. We know that. But hopefully they won't have to sit there in the car and do their homework. I mean, the idea is they go to the school where they have the access. They download their assignments, and then they go home and they work on them. Then when they come back, they upload what they've done and download the new. But it's not the same.
It is.
It's not. But
It's not easy.
but it's no.
And see, we've even got some of the fire departments that are hot too. Rebecca's area is hot. That they had requested it. Carl, give him a chime. He's actually a little ahead of all the other community centers. He actually has the desk there and the computers there for the kids. So he's already live and hot. So he was that way before, and he had them donated to him. So he's been working on this for a while. But this will give him a great opportunity. But plus, also the old Cleveland School is hot too. That was a donation by IGO, so that was another donation. So these places are going as much hot as we can. But again, for the board, if you got suggestions like this will be the time to bring this up, to be able to implement this and put it in place. And we will have to work with the schools to make sure that there's no one or everyone has an opportunity or has access.
There's also that you sent an email out about United Way having grant money to do hot spots. in
Yes,
different
United Way,
locations.
Cumming Plateau Planning is doing it. I mean, there's money out there right now for hotspots. So
Yeah, and he wasn't able to be here, but I want to say thanks to Jim Little for allowing us to do that at his church, and hopefully that'll help some, because we know Hansonville is kind of a dark area, and there wasn't a school there for us to. I know it goes right by on 4 lanes, and you can't have it. It's.
and maybe we can reach out to a couple other churches, which would be a good place for the kids too. That if that had a hot spots too, especially like in the Rosedale area, they could do it, and especially down into Daint, especially in the Castlewood area, we can do this, and we're able to pay for this, and give that service to the kids.
I like Tim's idea. Working with the churches is a great opportunity. I mean, that's unreal to be able to do that. Some of them have larger parking lots than others, and
As the Methodists shut down.
Old Mitchell's building out there still got a hot spot on it too, on 19.
Yeah, and all the libraries do too. So we're trying to get as expanding everywhere we can get the service to reach. But again, we'll have an opportunity to come get more areas. So
Well, I would say it's good, these hot spots, and we'll create more of them. But the number one thing I think we need to work and push is getting the schools open and getting kids back in school, and we wouldn't have to worry about they'd be there when we need them. But I think we really need to push whoever we need to push, the governor, whoever, to get these schools open, because I think that it's very necessary and needful that we get the schools open as soon as possible.
All right, any further discussion? All right, at this time, we've had a motion by Tim and second by Lou. Let's vote on accepting our CARES money. Orris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. All right.
thank you, Madam Chair. Next is, and this is actually projects during this time. Okay, this is a resolution of support for the VDOT Smart Scale on Route 19 and the 58 projects. This is a resolution of support for the Virginia VDOT Smart Scale process. Both the 19 and the 58 project has made it all the way through the first phase and getting ready to go into the second phase that the applications will be submitted to the Commonwealth Transportation Board on the 17th. This is the U.S. Route 19 super elevation improvements down as you go towards the Elk Gordon School. That is that area to where you go up the hill and in sharp curves. Everyone knows there's been a lot of accidents. That's a high priority. And also down on Route 58 as you come down the mountain at Sundown. I was going to call it Sundance. Sundown Drive. Thank you, Lou. Sundown Drive. This also has a safety issue. They need to put in an off ramp and then a crossover into the medium. They need to make that more workable because there's people that's coming, from St. Paul coming into Castlewood and coming down the mountain. They're cutting across in front of each other. So there's been a lot of accidents there. So I'll need a motion on each one and separately for the resolution support for the Route 19 eastbound super elevation improvements project and the U.S. Route 58 alternative turn lane improvements on Sundown Drive.
First off, we'll do Route 19. Do we have a motion to send this resolution in?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Lou, a second.
I'll second it.
David? All right, thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I've got to vote. Sorry. I'm sorry. Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. Sorry, I forget that. All right, our second resolution of support for the Route 58 project. Do I have a motion to accept that or to do that resolution?
So moved.
Steve, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
David, thank you. All right, Oris, all in favor of this Route 58 project?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county administrator request is of course, the Virginia Tourism Corporation Wonderlove Recovery Grant for Tourism Marketing. The state of Virginia on July the 15th gave Russell County a $10,000 grant that our tourism coordinator had applied for. This is for us to develop a new tourism app that is dedicated to Russell County tourism, to where if they come in, it has what we call our priority assets as far as tourism. It will have access to those to be able to guide them in here along with maps. We are working with a app designer right now to take a look at that to where we can get, of course, the Pinnacles in, the Clinch in, all of our tourism assets listed in, and as they come through, they can take a look. It will give them the map or the contact information as they're traveling, like all young adults do now. It will give them access to quick what assets and what beauty we have in Russell County as far as the tourism. I need approval to accept a $10,000 grant from the Virginia Tourism Corporation, the Wonderlove.
So
Is
moved,
it
Madam
Wonder
Chair.
or Wander?
I'm sorry, it's Wonder. Thank you. Okay.
All right. We have a motion by
It is the
Lou
Wander.
to accept this money. Do we have a second?
I'll
You
second
threw
it.
me off.
David? Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of accepting this $10,000 grant? Oris?
Yes.
Carl? Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Next on the county administrator request is the DHCD's Town of Cleveland Sewer Treatment Plant PER contract. This is the PR that to evaluate the long term for the sewer in the town of Cleveland. The Board of Supervisors is only the administrator on this. We're just, we did the RFP, DHCD, this is their funding, this is their contract, and we're just helping assist the town with this project. But as far as any funding or any assets that we have in it, it will be taken and paid by the DHC, Department of Department of Housing, Community Development. Sorry. So I need a motion to approve Thrasher Company for the town of Cleveland sewer PER contract.
All right. Do we have a motion to accept this contract?
So moved.
Tim, do we have a second? Was that Carl?
Carl.
Okay. I could hear him. All right, any discussion?
Couldn't you find a Virginia firm, Tim?
They're in Virginia, aren't they? Or are they?
Well, they're located in West Virginia, but they're doing business in Virginia, and they're trying to expand even more. And their qualifications were through the roof. They have like 500 employees.
Being bigger doesn't make you better. They don't know jack about Cleveland, but at any rate, that's just my comment.
All those in favor of accepting this PER contract? Oris?
Yes.
Carl? Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
I'll vote yes, but I agree with Steve. I really think we ought to have found somebody here local to be able to do this project.
Steve?
I'll vote yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Of course, from the previous under reports was the LEMPG grant. This is the planning grant through the Department of Emergency Management. We closed out the 1920. Of course, this is the 2021. This is a 2020 Local Emergency Management Performance Grant for $7,500. I need a motion to approve the appropriation on it.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Steve? Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Next is another grant. This one goes out to the Virginia Department of Fire Programs, the Fire Program Fund, which is aid to the localities for the fiscal year 2021, for the total amount of $86,763. These are funds that are available to the fire departments for equipment. Again, more funding to get them. This equipment will be dedicated not to the COVID, but to regular firefighting. This is an annual grant that we apply for, and this year we've got up to a total of $86,763 for them to be able to equally share and get their equipment that they need for firefighting in the county. I need a motion to accept the $86,763.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Carl did? Okay, I'm sorry. All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county administrator request is the Oak Grove Community Center Facility Addition. This is the addition that the school had built in the agreement with the greenhouses that they had built for us. This is a request to go to add the addition to the Oak Grove Community Center. In the cover sheet that I give to the Board of Supervisors, we can do one of two things. We can move the addition down or build onto the existing facility. So I give the comparison analysis between the either to build or to transfer the one that's already built down. So the first analysis is to look at the transfer of the modular facility down, which would have the move, which is $7,700 through the Brothers Mobile Home Services, and of course a bid from Redbud Construction for $84.75, and for the site construction, which will be in the county, which includes all electrical, site development, HVAC, and electrical, for a total cost of $23,030. Or we can build on a 14 by 30 modular facility at a price of for $14,750 for the low bid, and again the site construction which the county will perform, which is $68.55, for a total of $21,605. So what this is either the current one that's already paid for, or we incur the additional cost, of building on the 14 by 30.
Well, I got a question how you got the cost down so low as compared to the ones you gave us in October of last year.
And that is a very good question.
Yeah.
Now, first,
because the low price was $42,751 and high price was $49,184, and now I'm looking at costs that are half that.
when one of the largest costs was how it played in, and it was when we were trying to move the modular home that the school built in, we could only work at that time with, hang on a second, let me pull this up so I can pull the information. And it came down to the construction of it, and the moving of it. It was a mixture of expended cost. Okay, let's go up here so everybody can see. There's phase 1, phase 2.
Well, while we're waiting, be that as it may, Tim needs his community center. That community needs its community center, and we're $2,000 difference in doing whatever.
Well, I take exception to those numbers. I don't think you're telling me that it takes $68.55 for what you had proposed before. You were saying like the electrical duct work and guttering and miscellaneous construction and all that was going to be 20%, and then like $4,200 for foundations, and the heat pump anywhere from $2,000 to $3,300. And now you're doing all that for $68.55.
Yes.
And plus for a 420 square foot addition, I can't see it taking $655 to do that.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing that we have a commitment to Tim to provide him, that the addition, but the addition ended up being a lot bigger than what I'd anticipated, what I ever envisioned being done. Yeah. But it's about twice as big as what I thought it was going to be. And I'll just get to the bottom line. My opinion is that I think you've overestimated this. I think let's assume your numbers are okay for the big facility and move it down there. It's 23,000. But for the 420 square foot add-on down there, you're only looking, if you proportion it down based on square footage, you're only looking at about $2,500. So you're looking at 23,000 plus, and I'm going to say $17,150 for the add-on. So looking. My thought would be to do the add-on, do the 420 square foot add-on.
Okay.
And take that building, move it out to that lot across from the PSA's shop, which is just outside of town. I would think you could get it moved cheaper than $7,700, but I've kept that $7,700 figure in there. And what you would do is just give that to your maintenance people, Terry and Grady and all the people. They really don't have a home right now. They're going to be moved out when you do all this construction work down at the other end of the facility for the health department. And I don't know where you're going to put them or where you're going to place them at. But this would be a way to get it for a little bit of additional cost. Probably cost you in the neighborhood of about $30,000 to do both of them. So, but you gain, you give Tim what he needs by doing it. You just, you don't have all that dead space down there. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but, and then you do have a facility. At the very least, they could use it for storage and work on it additionally as they went along. They could, as money's come available, they could work on it and try to bring it up to sniff. But $11,000, about $12,000 you could get that facility moved down there. I think doing the foundation work and the $7,700, you could get it moved out there, turn it over to them, and as funds became available and they had time to work on it, maybe even use some of the community workforce people to do some work like that. That's an option I'm going to throw out there. I think the board's probably already made its mind up what they're going to do there.
And one of the reasons I brought up earlier about it wasn't anything in regards to just these grants that we had received that have a dollar for dollar match on them. I'd like to see us finish what we have pending and be able to financially, can we afford to finish out the Castlewood Fairgrounds and the cannery operations with those dollar for dollar match? Are we going to have that money available to finish those projects?
Okay.
Since, we got half of it through a grant, are we going to be able to finish those?
And see, on the 2 Tobacco Commission grants, as far as the fairgrounds, and I'll take those first. As far as the fairgrounds it is an agreement with the Tobacco Commission right now, which would they give us a direct cash match. So Lou knows what I'm going for, and that's rare. So I get a cash match for everything that the fairgrounds produces and buys and does and implements on that building. Also, what we do as far as labor or anything that we do to it is a direct dollar for dollar cash match, which was the agreement in that agreement. Even though it was an older agreement, they kept that agreement on it, which is rare, and that is still available. What we expend down there from the donation to the fairgrounds, like the $7,500 a year, that's automatically goes to cash match. What we spend down there to maintain that building from the county's perspective or the fairgrounds perspective, which they do spend a good amount of money on it, it's a dollar for dollar match. So that takes the fairgrounds, and that way we've got enough right now to cover the first $57,000 that we mentioned before. That's already covered, and we've already incurred that. So that will come all back to the county. Now, in the second phase of it, what we donate this coming year, plus what the fairgrounds is doing, we get to work and do a cash dollar for dollar match on phase 2.
Okay.
Now, the canneries, what we do on each cannery and the citizens in Russell County, we expend approximately $50,000 per year to maintain both canneries, per cannery, $100,000 a year. That is match.
Well, the reason I'm asking you, Lonzo, is just the fact that I've had some calls from some senior citizens about the heating and cooling, or cooling especially, like for the Castlewood buildings.
The Castlewood
I know they
cannery.
Fairgrounds.
Oh,
is that part of it?
Yes.
Where they'll be able to get?
It's insulated now.
No, I'm talking about the air conditioners.
It's our
heating and cooling
HVAC, yes.
on the buildings. Okay.
And what we're doing is, as far as the HVAC in there, we have insulated it. We have put siding on it, the doors, the windows, it's energy efficient, a new roof. There's a new roof. I'll have pictures for you later.
Thank you.
The next board meeting. It is a spectacular building now. They also put out eases on the front of it for vendors to where you can come in and they can do markets and things, and they've got the doors that go through.
I know it's hard on our seniors, though.
It is.
Plus the hill.
And it's a beautiful building, and I wish I could I'll have pictures ready for you and on that next time. Now the canneries, like I said, what we expend on operating costs, that's a match.
That's your match.
That's my match on the canneries. We just got approval last week for the punch list that the cannery committee, while they were here, operating the hours from the Tobacco Commission to proceed forward with that. Now, on this project, when we first did it, back to Steve, and he was absolutely 100% correct, when we were looking at it, what we took down the cost is when we were first going to do the addition on, we were having to set it so far away, and we was going to have to try to connect it, and that's where the additional cost was coming in. So at the time, and I worked through Harvey on this one with our PSA, the Brothers was not available. Brothers has, and then we had the two quotes that we had was Brady Salvage, which does move in modulars of this size, but they cannot move it in to where it could connect. They couldn't get it sufficiently that they just move it in and set it on the block and set it up. Now, Brothers has the capacity to be able to get it close enough to where it reduced the addition cost for the breezeway. So my cost went down on the connection.
So you're going to connect them with a breezeway?
Yes, a breezeway.
So you're going to
now.
have two facilities side by side with a breezeway?
Well, it's a small breezeway now. They're going to bring them together and connect the joists and tie them together. The Brothers has the capacity to be able. Yes, exactly. Well, it's going to be like a T. It's going to be like a T. They're going to like a T. Yes, they're going to be like a T with a breezeway. Now, on it, you see, now where was that? Okay, Brothers is going to bring it in. They could get it a lot closer. The foundation came a lot closer too. Now, what the people that move these modulars, whether you move it 100 feet across the lot or you move it down to Castlewood, it's $7,700. Once they connect it, it ain't based off of distance. Harvey will tell you, it's a flat fee. So now, what does that mean? That cut down the cost of the additional breezeway, plus it reduced the cost of the transportation. So, and then number three is, at the time we did the first ones, we did not have an HVAC guy in house. Now, Brady, I have an HVAC guy with a license in place. He has his own license and he can get it at cost. So I got to reduce cost in the HVAC units. I got to reduce cost into the breezeway, the additional building, the tie-in, and the reduced price, as you can see in the moving, because Brady's was going to move it down for $12,500, and Brothers is going to move it for $7,700. So now it's up to the board's discretion. Yeah, here is the bids. This is the Brothers had their bid to move it down for $77,000. Brady's, there's the addition billed for Redbud for the addition on the breezeway, and this is Harvey's bid for the additional. That's the $4,200 plus the HVC, which is the $2,645.54. So this on the guttering, that's a good question. It does include the guttering, insulation, the underpinning, and all. Yes, I had to think there for a second. But at the board discretion. Well, either way, you're going to have to build. Yeah, I mean, you can build or put the trailer. It's at the board's discretion. Now, one of the things, because second thing is what the also, and the second thing that you have to consider is you got the courthouse moving, and you've got that issue to deal with, and then you got Missy to deal with. So one of the things that, and I had Missy to go take a look at it, she did a walkthrough, and so you can use it for this or versus that. It's at the board's pleasure. So
well, it's an empty shell, and it would I would think for what she would need, it would cost a fortune to remodel it. I mean, it's built, and Steve, I totally appreciate your questions, but it's built to be the second part of that building. I mean, it has matching siding, matching shingles, matching tile. There is no duct work. There's just electrical because it's just going to be their dining area. So it was built to be the
Dr.
second
Brown's
part of
wanting us
that
to move
building.
it, isn't he? Has he called and asked that we get it moved?
The school board is,
Yeah.
if COVID, I don't know how well they're gonna be, and I was, even looking at maybe on the second one, even to work out something with the school board, to maybe look at one for Missy to design it actually from,
I don't want any more deals like this one.
okay.
Well,
'Cause it's
It
not
was
what we really, or what it was my understanding it was intended to be. So, and I'm not trying, I know we committed to Tim to do an addition down there for the dining area, but I just, you've already decided what's going to happen. So, I can see the pictures where the footers have been dug out, and it's exactly like you say. It's already done. So, apparently it's already decided what's going to happen. So.
I would say this, the
Decided.
community has waited, over a year and a half. Double Wide's been sitting over there. Before I was even sworn in, you and I went over and looked at that about that time. And if you build another structure down there on site, how much longer is the community going to have to wait for that?
Or it's what I was proposing, to go ahead and move it out to this other site. That's all move that building out to this other site is what I was talking about. Not just leave it there. It's been there for over a year now.
Well, I'm saying, if you're going to build a new facility on site at the Oak Grove Community Center, the time in which it's going to take to do that, because Lonzo knows some projects don't progress as quick as they should or like to, because you have other things coming up that you have to give something priority over another one. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes, sir, I do. Yes.
They waited all this time for the one that's already built to get it moved, and now we're trying to move in another direction to build a new a facility on site and do something with the one that's already ready to go. I mean, let's look at it different ways than how long the community has waited for that facility. The cost, we have to encounter the cost, but still there's other things other than just cost that we have to consider, I think.
So, Lonzo,
Do what, Carl?
Yes, how much did the building cost that they made it, or how much money is in it?
Yeah.
Roughly 17,000 is what they get per year.
Yeah, Carl, did you hear that? I said it cost $17,000, but it cost the board when the board of supervisors built the greenhouses for all the high schools. That was part of the compensation back. For the greenhouses, they got the additional modular home, so it's already paid for. It was built by the school.
Okay.
Lonzo, you need a motion to go ahead and,
I need a motion to, for either the transfer of the modular facility or to build the modular facility addition at the Oak Grove Community Center.
Well, I'll make the motion, we transfer the modular facility.
okay. All right, do we have a second with that?
I'll second that.
Katie, is that how I do that? All right, any further discussion? All right, let's vote on Boris,
Yes.
Carl,
No.
Lou,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
David,
No, and the reason I think we could do it a lot cheaper for just the add-on addition.
okay, Steve,
I'm going to vote no as a matter of principle, because this project has not turned out to be what it was intended to be.
yep, I agree. And Rebecca is yes. All right,
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the county administrator report request is the Department of Criminal Justice. This is another grant. Did I miss? Okay. This is Department of Criminal Justice School Resource Officer Grant, which I hope we get to use. Right now, we're actually using them on the road, but it's a grant for $57,287. I need a motion to accept the Department of Criminal Justice Services for the RSOs for this grant of $57,287.
David, all right, do we have a second?
Second.
Tim? All All right, all those in favor of accepting the school resource officer grant money? Oris?
Yes.
Carl? Carl?
Carl, do you hear us?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Is my Mickey out here? Is he still here? Let him explain this one. Just one. He's standing out there. I know he can come in. It's Larry. I didn't even know he's standing over here. Are you okay? You want to come in? Oh, you can come in. Yeah, sit down. I didn't even know you was late. Come on in. Yours around the corner. The rest of the was empty. Next on the county administrator request is for the Highway Abundant Life Church pump and haul septic system. Mickey was here to explain this component of it, but he had to go to a ball game, so I'll go through it. This is a request for a pump and haul for permission for the septic system for the Highway Abundant Life Church that's on Route 80. They have the church has already have contacted with VDH. This is a recommendation by VDH for a pump and haul if you can't have a septic system based off your property. The reason the Board of Supervisors is requested on the pump and haul is in case there's instances where if you have sewer water running in front of the facility, it's a mechanism to make sure they're not circumventing a hookup or non-user agreement or something like that. So VDH, this is part of their process. When he gets the church gets the approval for the pump and haul, they have to go back to VDH, which also triggers the building inspection and also the right-of-way for VDOT. So they're working with VDH, and the building inspector on this. So they're asking for a pump and haul, which will be installed by a contractor per VDH, one of their pre-selected contractors, to ensure that it's in compliance with VDH regulations, and it will be continuously inspected by them. And it has to be contracted and pumped by them, and per VDH guidelines. So,
I'll make that motion.
So I need a motion.
That we accept that.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Carl? Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The last item on the county administrator request is the emergency management. This is a travel request for our Hazmat / chemical spill response training, which would be paid by the grant that you just approved. I need approval to send Jess to to Roanoke on August the 3rd and the 4th. I need approval for training.
So
by
moved.
Hazmat.
Do we have a motion to accept his travel request?
So moved.
David, thank you.
Second.
Second, Steve. Any discussion?
Ma'am, that concludes the county.
Wait, let me
Oh,
vote.
I'm sorry.
All right,
I'm moving.
you're moving. All right, all those in
Good job,
favor?
Bonzo.
Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes.
Thank you, now, Madam Chair. Sorry about that.
You're ready to move.
This mask it wears you out a little while, but anyway, to keep us safe, ma'am, that concludes the county administrator reports and requests. Any more questions?
Next thing we have are any matters presented by the board. Oris, do you have anything you need to tell us?
Not this time.
Carl?
No, ma'am.
Lou?
Not tonight, thank you.
Tim?
No, I was going to talk about the internet. We did that earlier, so thank you.
David?
Yes, I have a request here. I'd like to request some children playing signs in some different areas. And I had thought about this pretty deeply as far as like Green Acres Drive is one area. Country Oaks Drive is another area. 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on secondary roads is still fast. And when you have all these kids at home now through COVID and everything, I've had multiple reports about areas that people are flying.
There's on Green Acres and
Green Acres Drive and
Right.
then Country
I got
Oaks
that one.
Drive is
Country
a
Oaks.
couple of areas. I'm just going to identify those two areas. I'd like to actually ask the board as a whole to kind of look at their area. I've been asked also like some neighborhood watch areas that need to be identified for some heavily presence or more activity going on in some residential areas that normally wasn't going on until all this shut down, and now there's a lot of activity. And I've actually met with some sheriffs and local town police officers and went with them and drove with them and went and looked at some of this stuff going on in these localities. You know, through tragedy and stuff, there's some other things that goes on and a lot of trickle-down stuff that happens, but we need to identify and look at some of these area roads that have, and if anybody out there has any other additional road areas that they're seeing high, Miller Creek and different areas that we have higher traffic, and then, I was up there sitting, me and the police officer, and a car came by. I couldn't get his tag number. That's how fast they went by. So what I'm saying is VDOT won't put out strips to slow people down on state roads, but we need to identify some sort of signage. Maybe consciously they'll look at it and say, I might need to slow down. There's children playing, and then I want to find out, how do we obtain these neighborhood watch? Like if people want to adopt an area for drug traffickers and stuff, that they can call these numbers. So, is it something that we need to make a motion on to get these signs and have them put out, and identify each individual road, or is it something that we can request VDOT upon request from the county administrator?
I'd be glad to reach out to John VDOT on the Children at Play and the Neighborhood Watch. Those
Appreciate
are very good programs, along with Adopt a Highway if you want to go that far. But anyhow, I'd like to get trash, but I'll get that together.
Well,
for
thank you. I appreciate it, Lonzo. That's all I had.
Yes.
Lonzo, that reminds me, I had a request up toward the college on 19.
Mm-hmm.
People was parking in front of their house. They got a wide area where they can park, and they're parking there. They thought it was for phones service, but the lady went out and asked them if they had a problem, if they was talking on the phone, and they called her a B, if you know what B stands for, and said, "Do you own this?" And she said, "No, I don't own this, but you're blocking my driveway because my husband has heart problems, and I don't know when I may have to take him to the hospital." And she had to call the police, and she'd like to have a no park, standing, or stopping sign from VDOT, I guess, for her area there.
Okay. Is that the same? It's the same route.
One
Yes.
that I
Yeah,
discussed
you're right,
with.
Right. Yeah. Rebecca, repeat that. He
Yep.
didn't hear you.
I've already discussed that with him. I've already talked to VDOT about it with them. I called VDOT too.
Yes. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we were. That was the one I had up on the satellite the other night. Yes. Yeah, we were looking at it, and actually, the Russell County Sheriff's Department's been down there to look at it too, which we'll have a report for you. Yeah.
Yes, your turn, sir.
Okay. First of all, I want to apologize for anybody that had to stand out in the waiting room. I asked a couple of weeks ago that we have the rest of our meetings down in the conference center so we can have everybody, we could social distance and everybody could be there. Found out today that we were not going to do it, and I asked to have it changed, and I was turned down. So I want to make a motion right now that as long as we're in this emergency ordinance, that our meetings will be held in the conference center where we can adequately get everybody in there and they can get comfortably seated and they can social distance, and we won't have to deal with all this in and out stuff and people being isolated out there. So that's my motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right. Oris?
I agreed to do so.
All right. Carl?
Yeah.
Lou?
I don't disagree, so yes.
Okay. Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Rebecca? Yes. The only things I have to say is that we will, on August the 12th, here at the Government Center, we will have a household hazardous trash pickup, and that our next meeting, we need to discuss that we need to reconvene on August the 18th, which is a Tuesday, at 6 o'clock, correct? Because that's when the PSA's meeting.
I believe they made it here last time, but I think actually the conference here too, so I'll have to.
Yes.
Left so many people.
Uh-huh.
Madam Chair, I make a
Yes.
motion that we adjourn to reconvene on August the 18th at 6 p.m. in the Russell County Conference Center.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
David? All right. All those in favor? Oris?
Yes.
Carl?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Lou?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Steve? And
Yes.
Rebecca? Yes. All right. We will reconvene on Tuesday, August the 18th at the conference room at 6.